Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on the time that you're watching this lecture. Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Josen Puthumburel. That's me on the left, by the way. I am a member of ACCA and I'm also a CA finalist. I've cleared my second group of Indian CA final, and I'm also an undergraduate. And I did my articleship in a reputed firm in Kochi. And after that, I've been working with KPMG in the investment management division for a little while. And after that, I've been working in a startup. So that's me in a nutshell. So today, I'm going to introduce one of the fundamental concepts in financial management, which is also, there is also an overlap in financial reporting as well as strategic cost management or performance management, as we call it in ACCA. Okay, so I just want to be assured, I would just want you to be assured that you are in safe hands. I have adequate experience, exposure in financial reporting, auditing, financial management, and cost management as well during the course of my articleship as well as employment with KPMG. So without further ado, let's get going. So before we get going, let me ask you a question. Why banks charge interest? Okay. It's extremely difficult to attribute or to identify a single reason for this. Okay. There are several reasons, and let's look at each one of them in detail. Okay. So the first reason that we are going to look at is inflation. Everyone knows what it means by inflation, right? It's a general rise in prices, right? Let me illustrate it with an example. So these are the change in petrol prices over the years 2021 to 2024. So it was roughly about 60, 68, 69 rupees in 2021, and it rose all the way to 105 in 2024. Okay. So if I were to plot this in another way, I could actually find the cumulative change or cumulative inflation, right? If I look at the bottom line, the purple one, you can see it rose to about 30%. So the cumulative inflation is about 30% over the 4 years. Okay, so what does this imply? It means something, right? Inflation will reduce something. It will reduce our purchasing power. So how do you demonstrate this? Let me illustrate it with an example. If I were to give you 100 rupees in 2021, you could purchase how many liters of petrol? Simply divide 100 rupees by the average petrol price in 2021, which is about, let's take 68 rupees. So that will give you about 1.47 liters. Okay. And if I were to give you the same 100 rupees in 2024, you could purchase 100 divided by 105 rupees per liter, which is about 0.95 liters, right? So what is the difference in quantity? What is the reduction in quantity? It's about half a liter, right? You are getting half a liter less of petrol for the same price. So what does that mean? Your purchasing power is being reduced. Okay. So if you tell the bank that I will give, suppose I have taken 30 lakhs loan and I will give you 30 lakhs in 10 years time, will they accept it? No, they need some sort of compensation, right? Because the purchasing power has gone down. Okay. So they need, then because of inflation which has reduced the purchasing power, they need some sort of compensation. Okay. This compensation is represented in the form of interest. Okay. I hope everyone is clear about this concept. It's a very simple concept. Inflation will reduce your purchasing power, and in order to compensate the loss of purchasing power, we need some extra consideration, which is represented in the form of interest. Moving on. Okay. The next reason is risk. So just before they give you the loan, okay, the bank, just before the banks give you the loan, they will actually do a lot of checks, okay. They have to make sure that you have the capability to repay the loan, okay. They will even make you take an insurance, okay, whether you realize it or not, to protect their principal amount, okay. So just in case if you default the amount, they will get their principal back from the insurance. So let me before we explain the concept of risk, let me show you an image. Let me show you an image of a person. Some of you might recognize him, some of you might not. He is none other than the Vijay Mallya himself, okay. Some of you might know that his airline, Kingfisher Airlines, it has borrowed about 9,000 crores from a consortium of banks, and it just went into liquidation, and Mr. Mallya has left the country. He has absconded, and the banks are, well, I think they have managed to recover some of the money, but not all of it. So anyway, risk is one of the reasons why banks charge interest, because there is no guarantee that you might repay the 100% of the amount, okay. There is a chance that you might default. That is known as credit risk, okay. And another reason is, suppose if I tell you I will give you 100 rupees today, or I will give you 100 rupees in 1 year's time, which one would you accept? Along with interest, of course. Which one will you accept? Today, 100 rupees today, or 100 rupees along with interest in 1 year's time? Well, most people will accept the amount today, okay. And the reason is simply because of present consumption, okay. You can buy, for example, 100 rupees worth of goods today with that 100 rupees, but you may not be able to buy, suppose if I give you 110 rupees in the future, you may not be able to buy the same quantity of goods in 1 year's time because of inflation or changes in prices, etc., okay. So you are foregoing your present consumption, and therefore you require some sort of compensation, which is again represented in the form of interest, okay. So let's summarize. So why do banks charge interest? Well, mainly because of 3 reasons: inflation, risk, and foregoing present consumption, okay. Moving on. Interest. There are 2 types of interest: simple interest and compound interest, and let's look at each one of them in great depth, okay. So simple interest, the formula is quite simple. Simple interest is equal to P stands for principal, R stands for rate of interest per annum, and T time in years, okay. Just make sure that if the rate of interest is per annum, the time also has to be per annum, okay. The units have to be consistently maintained. Now let's look at an example. Mr. A borrowed 100 rupees from Mr. B at 10% per annum. Calculate the interest payable if the amount is repaid after 1 year. So it's a simple question. Anyone can do it. So let's write the formula first of all. Simple interest is equal to principal into rate into time. Principal is 100 rupees. Rate is 10% per annum, and time is 1 year. So if you simply multiply all these 3 figures, you will get 100 into 10% into 1 year is equal to rupees 10. So if I were to borrow 100 rupees from Mr. B at 10% per annum, I will be repaying him 110 rupees at the year end, okay. Let me illustrate it diagrammatically. So this is the year beginning, and this is the year. At the year beginning, I have borrowed 100 rupees, and at the year end, I will have to repay 100 rupees and 10 rupees, 110 rupees. Okay, let's look at example 2. Same example, but here the time is modified. Okay, the interest payable, calculate the interest payable if the amount is repaid after 6 months. Okay, you have to make sure that 6 months, you have to make sure that you calculate the interest for 6 months only and not for the whole year. Okay, so simple interest is equal to P into R into T. Principal is equal to 100 rupees, rate is 10%, and time, here you have to make sure it's given in months in the question, so you have to convert that into year. 6 months, there are 12 months in a year, therefore 6 months means 0.5 years. Okay, so multiplying all those figures will give us rupees 5. Okay, so again I'll show you what it means in a time scale. So this is the whole year. At the year beginning, I borrow 100 rupees from Mr. A, and after 6 months, I repay him 100 rupees along with interest of rupees 5. Hope everyone is clear about this so far. Okay, so just a word of caution, you have to make sure, you have to ensure consistency in units. Okay, if the time is given in months, you have to make sure that the rate, you have to convert it into years, because the interest rate is per annum. Okay, for example, if there are 6 months, then there are 12 months in a year, therefore 6 by 12 is equal to half a year.